This podcast is for informational purposes only. It does not provide medical advice. It exists simply to entertain and to inform.
Behind the scenes at the Poor Historians podcast studio.
Hey, Alba, did you see Mike yet?
No, I haven't seen him yet.
He said he had a surprise for us.
I'm uneasy.
Yeah, me too.
Hey. Sorry I'm late. It took forever to wrap these guys up for you.
Ooh, presents?
Yep, kind of. I made you guys some candies and stuff.
Oh, that's unexpected. Mike, are you getting into the Halloween spirit or something?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it's really hard to make candy. And I did not expect it to take that long.
Look at all these. Did you wrap these in tinfoil?
Yeah, I sure did.
Kind of makes them look sketchy, Mike. What are these? Are these chocolates? Are these hard candies?
Yeah, it's like a little mix of everything.
Wow, Mike, this looks just like a Tootsie Roll. And this one is a small handful of Tic Tacs?
Mike, did you just regift candies and candy adjacent things and say you made them?
Well, yeah, I mean, I did make them, but just not from scratch.
Oh, a rewrapped peanut butter cup. I love these.
Okay. Hey, look, it's a thought that counts. What's your episode about?
Halloween sadism.
Okay, now I'm uneasy. What is Halloween sadism, and what does it have to do with medical history?
Oh, it's just where people poison candy and then hand the candy out. I don't poison my friends, Alba. Jeez.
That suggests there is somebody you poison.
This piece is for you, Max.
Ooh, wow. Wait, is this black licorice rope wrapped around an almond joy?
Yes.
Why would you do that?
I'm going to eat this.
Don't eat that.
I'm going to. This is the best candy ever.
Oh, ew.
I would actually eat that.
I would eat that minus the almond joy.
I would eat that minus both of them.
Welcome, everyone. This is Poor Historians, a podcast misadventuring into the archives of medical history and beyond. I'm Dr. Max, and I'm joined here by my good friends and colleagues. Not Dr. Aaron, but there is Dr. Mike.
Hey.
As well as our medical history intern, Alba.
Hello.
All right, I like that. So you guys feeling all in the Halloween mood as of yet?
Yes, I am in the Halloween mood.
Alba's going to do the entire episode like that.
If you dare me to.
I dare you to do the whole episode like that.
I just decided I'm vetoing it.
Max
I
might
triple
kill us.
dog dare you.
You guys have any favorite Halloween movies?
I'm excited to see Beetlejuice.
I saw it.
Did you? Was it
Yeah.
good?
It was
It's good.
It was super excellent. It was
very cool.
A friend of mine, I think, put it best. It's not a masterpiece, but damn, is it a lot of fun. I think that's
And
fair.
it's Tim Burton again?
Yes,
Okay.
almost the entire same cast.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Danny DeVito.
No
Don't
way.
say that.
Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito's in it.
Wait, was he in the
Oh,
first
yeah,
one?
I think I saw it.
No, but it doesn't matter. He's Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
He can do whatever he wants.
You know what's funny is Hocus Pocus, as a kid, that movie scared me because I was a kid, right? And it's a kid's movie. That's appropriate. But I never grew out of being scared of that movie. And so now, even as 37-year-old me, anytime somebody puts on Hocus Pocus, even if it's like I'm out in public, at a bar or something and it's playing on the TV, I get physiologically uncomfortable from the movie where I'm like, no,
Ooh.
don't light the candles. Don't light the candles.
Great segue, I think, given what we're going to be talking about tonight. If you have any other nice nostalgic memories for this holiday, I think Mike's going to find a way to turn them on their head.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good intro. I like
Yeah,
that.
I'm trying to guess. All right. Well, again, we're about to get to the main topic of the show, but I see, Alba, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, guys, before we start, I got a quick question. I'm tired and my head hurts from learning. Why is that?
Nobody ever asks us like normal questions, and I appreciate that.
Is this a new thing we're doing?
I think
Come
it's a
on,
new thing
we're
we're
on
doing.
a schedule here. God.
Yeah. Mike, you have a whole page of notes that you want to get through?
I've got a whole paragraph of notes I want to get through.
Well, Mike, we're here. We want to expand Alba's knowledge. She is the
Okay.
intern of this medical history podcast, right?
Yes.
And, we have listeners out there that might want to know how things work. So Alba wants to know why she's tired after she's thinking all day.
Yeah, I've been learning a lot, and my head hurts every day after, and I'm tired every day. And I'm like, how is it that my brain is doing, like, I'm not physically exerting myself? So why is it that I'm so physically affected by it?
It's all that brain activity. I mean, it chews up. It takes energy. In order for you to form thoughts and concentrate, you need glucose, you need all that stuff. So you will expend energy. Like people that have seizures, they're instantaneously ultra fatigued after the seizure because of the massive neuronal discharge from the seizure. And probably
Are you making words up? Neuronal
No,
discharge?
those are real
Okay.
words. I will fact check it.
So
it's
yeah,
something about the way you say stuff, Mike. I'm sorry.
So I completely agree, because what's happening, your brain is like the biggest consumer of glucose. Like your brain needs sugar. It needs a lot of sugar to do its brain things. And if it doesn't have sugar, it gets tired. And if it really doesn't have sugar, then you start seizing and really bad stuff happens. But unless you had some other medical reason for you to have not enough blood sugar, what happens is all day you're thinking, you're making decisions, you're firing off all those brain cells, those neurons, as Mike put it, and that's consuming a lot of sugar. And it's fatiguing, because I will tell you, in our jobs, when we make decision after decision after decision all day long, whether it's information coming out or you're using what's in there to do things, it is extremely exhausting. And by the end of the day, I pretty much refuse to decide what to have for dinner.
So some cognitive things take more, and I guess that makes sense. Yeah, take a lot more energy than others. Learning stuff, clearly for me, is taking a lot of energy. Seizures take a lot of energy, but like watching TV, not so
a lot
much.
of energy.
Right. It's very passive. You're just sort of there and whatnot. If you were watching TV and, let's say, taking notes on it, you'd probably notice it was different. I think it's generally boils down to the brain consumes more sugar when it's working harder.
Oh, word. Because the neurons are making connections, right? And the neurons are growing and stuff. It's like actively making more stuff in my brain when I'm learning something, versus if I'm not learning something, it's like, yeah, I knew that and I'm just chilling. Then it's not making new stuff in my brain.
It's not consuming the energy to do the brain stuff, which is sometimes making stuff, sometimes releasing stuff, and like, having all those nerve cells talk to each other. So yeah, that's why you got gotta stay well fed.
Such a very specific
helps.
answer, Max. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna eat more sandwiches then. Maybe that'll make me less tired.
What kind of sandwiches?
Headache. It's been a lot of tuna salad sandwiches.
It's a lot of protein. It's actually good. So
I gotta get my protein.
Yeah, gotta get that pull up. You're gonna do it.
Yeah, I gotta get that pull up.
Maybe not sleeping enough too.
Yeah, you
I'm
enough?
definitely not sleeping enough.
Oh, well, you should try that too.
5.5 hours a night. Yeah.
What? That's not enough?
I know, I'm a night owl and I have to be
same.
at the hospital at 8.
Does doing this podcast keep you up late at night?
No.
Okay.
Why?
I don't know.
Because of all the spooky things.
No, we're normally done by like
learn.
9. No. Oh yeah, because it's spooky. Well, I definitely think a lot after the podcast. Because you know what? For real, I learned so much on this podcast too. Like
For real or for real? For
real, guys. I learned a lot on this podcast.
Wait, isn't that a band from the early 2000s?
Might be a band. I had something witty to say, Alba, but I too, my brain is low on glucose today after a long day of making decisions and talking with people. So my brain's starving, and I forgot the funny thing I was going to say.
Well, I didn't do today, so I'm ready to go.
It's your laugh too, because you go.
So here's the other fun part. Like, anxiety and stress also cause your brain to kind of work harder and burn you out. So I think if we can find something to talk about that might provoke some anxiety and stress, it might help us all get a good night's sleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that how anxiety works?
Yeah. The more
Not a
anxious I
psychiatrist.
am, the more I want to avoid it. So the more likely I am to go to sleep. Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
You know how I like to do these. Often I like to do a case, so that's what I'm going to do.
Mm.
And
Okay.
it's going to go over great. And then I'm going to
Excellent.
jump. I'm going to jump across decades. I'm going to jump across genres of medicine.
Time and space?
I am omnipotent.
How many?
Impotent? Omnipotent.
You're omnipotent. You're omnipotent.
I'm impotent.
That's okay. It happens to everybody.
How many dimensions? How many dimensions are we going across?
Just 3.
Yeah.
Wait, no,
boring.
4. Because I just
Oh, okay.
wait. Is it the 4th dimension or the 4th wall?
I feel like
The
time's
fourth
the fourth.
wall.
There's a
dimension.
4th wall.
Yeah, broke the 4th wall, but probably 2. I don't know, Max. Here,
For
I'll
instance,
You
just
got in a
listeners-
meta loop. You're in a meta Ouroboros. You got to get out.
Yeah,
We got to untangle you.
I'm just gonna have to destroy the multiverse.
Okay. What are we
Okay.
talking about?
All right. So you are an emergency medicine physician. It's 1982, September 28th, specifically of 1982.
I'm 3 months old.
Yep. So you, there's a 911 call, 6:33 in the morning, for a 12-year-old that passed out at home.
Mm.
Wasn't feeling well the last couple of days. Had some cough medicine the night before. Wakes up, isn't still feeling well, isn't going to go to school. Dad hears the child pass out in the bathroom. Paramedics got there. She was unconscious. They took her to the medical center. Great medical records for this case, by the way. So 6:33 is the call. She arrives at the medical center at 6:38, but in the meantime, she had lost her pulses. Paramedics are doing CPR on her when she gets to the ER, and they did heroic measures. The ER doc put in a pacemaker. Couldn't get the kid back.
Well, okay. I'm gonna stop and summarize what I've heard.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's September.
Yep.
It's 1982.
Mhm.
There's a 12-year-old who is sick for a little while,
Yeah, a couple days.
a couple days, doesn't feel well, passes out in the bathroom. Dad calls paramedics. They pick her up, and she just crashes. Just
Mhm.
cardiovascular collapse. They're doing CPR. Sounds like a pacemaker was put in, temporary. So
I think I should have stopped. I kept going, but yes,
Mm.
they resuscitative efforts from the minute she hit the door.
there we go. Okay,
till
so
the time
they
that
do
she had-
CPR. They get her pulse back. I'm guessing her heart rate is low.
They never
since
got actually, it's not well documented.
Okay. At some
But-
point, they think her heart rate's low, so they put in a temporary pacemaker.
Yeah, and she was pronounced dead. I mean, so she
Hmm.
died during this visit a couple hours later. So they most likely did get a pulse back.
All right.
Most
Starting
likely
with
did
a
have a
real
low pulse.
uplifting story.
And the
Yeah.
only thing we know of that she's had that's not a regular food or drink was cough syrup in the last
Yeah,
couple,
just some,
like
like,
yesterday.
Over-the-counter medicines
Hmm.
the night before. Had some over-the-counter stuff the morning of. Didn't look ill. Didn't know about any other sick contacts, but
Okay.
So,
So-
really bad case as an ER doc, but
Yeah, this would be a
You know.
nightmare case.
Yeah.
It, happens from time to time. But
they did labs. The labs all looked relatively normal. You
okay,
know, it was kind of a head scratcher.
okay, gotcha. Well, we don't end the episode there, do we? Just leave it
No.
on mystery.
I mean, do
Okay.
you have any? What do you think? Like top 3
Oh,
on the
boy.
differential would be
Well, okay. So
sudden apparent
Yeah,
cardiac
I
death
mean,
of a young person.
appreciating the overall arching topic, I think, however, sudden turn in condition, sudden death. You worry about heart things that you didn't know about, right? You worry about a heart that was structurally abnormal, and maybe she would not have known that. A couple of days of not feeling well. I don't know what symptoms she was having aside from that, but there are certainly some infections that can be rapidly onset, etc. Get your
Yeah.
brain infections, your meningitis, and those sort of things. I don't think we have a great story here to support that, but I'm just doing some brain stretches
Doesn't
here.
sound like
Just stretching
Yeah.
outside the box. I'm padding your episode for you a little bit. You're welcome.
Yeah, electrical, electrolyte issues maybe.
Can we?
Yeah.
Can we order a toxicology report?
We can
Or
do
you said
that.
you did that already.
Yep, and the toxicology reports are negative.
Oh.
Oh,
Well,
depends
that
what they
was-
test for, though.
Mm-hmm. The ones
Wait, is it one of those magical ones that tests for all the toxicologies?
I'm going to give you one attempt to order the one magical toxicology report because that's on the
I want to order
differential
that
as well.
report. Go ahead.
Okay, so but you can't do that.
And
yet.
I was going to build to a tox
But
differential.
now you've I do appreciate that. but now he's been transported to another
Wait,
hospital.
What? I missed the
Yeah,
what
I'm
you
not done with this
appreciate.
case.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah. There's another
can't
hospital
transport
now,
me against my
7
will.
miles away, and you are now a different emergency physician. And 911 is called at 1:33 p.m. on 9/28/82, the same day as this young lady comes in and dies in the hospital. This person was sleeping, took a nap, hadn't been feeling well, and then didn't wake up from the nap. Again, 911 was called at 1:33. The patient was pronounced dead at the hospital at 3:15 p.m.
How old of a patient?
27.
Okay, so it's older.
Is there anything physiologically out of the ordinary other than like, their heart stopped, like any eye pupil stuff or
pupils
color
are
stuff or
fixed and dilated?
So basically, he is
Normal
found
color.
down pulseless.
He's dead when they
He's
get there.
just on the couch and he's gone. Okay. Yeah, that's sad. Does happen.
All right. So,
I'm
that
sure
was
these cases aren't
3:15.
related, though.
No, they're
So
not.
that's
Probably.
crazy coincidence you bring that up.
So you're doing your charting, and second 911 call, 5:40 p.m.
Busy.
Yeah, from the same home.
The same home as the guy?
Yep, a 25-year-old man was brought in, came out of the bathroom, said he wasn't feeling well, collapsed. Family ran over to the neighbor's house to call for help because so what happened is that first guy comes in, he dies. Everybody's just kind of like, what the heck? So they go to his house. They're all like having the family meeting there. So some other people come to the house. This guy's brother, so the 25-year-old brother collapses. They run to the neighbor's house. They're like, hey, something's wrong. They come back. And the 25-year-old had just collapsed. And then they just found the 20-year-old newlywed wife of this guy unconscious on the floor. So it's 5:40. Stanley, that second patient, is pronounced dead at 8:15 at the hospital. And then Teresa survives 3 days and then is ultimately pronounced dead.
I'm going on a limb. I don't know if this is a coincidence anymore.
Well, I was thinking carbon monoxide, right? That could potentially be something that could.
Well, let's back up on that. Yeah, so
that wouldn't give you like blue lips or something.
Carbon There'll be like the cherry skin.
Yeah, it almost does the opposite. So yeah, okay. So you got the young lady we talked about in the very beginning in a different location 7 miles from these other cases, collapse, whatnot. That by itself, especially if somebody else was in the house and they weren't having symptoms, doesn't make me think carbon monoxide there. But I think as you bring up, you have how many patients come from this house?
So 3 from this house, and those 3 go to the same hospital, but the first one goes to a different hospital. So the ER doc that took care of these 3 people really wasn't aware of the other one.
Gotcha. Oh, so the young lady was from this house as well?
No, separate house.
Okay, so sorry, we have 4 victims from this house.
3 from this house, 1 from the other.
And the 3 from the house went to the same hospital.
Same
but
hospital.
The young girl went to a different.
Yep, that was
hospital.
earlier in the day, and they are unaware that Adam, Stanley, and Teresa are all from the second house.
How many houses are there? I think
2 houses.
2 houses.
Okay.
And the young girl is how old? 12?
12, yep.
She's across the state, right?
7 miles away. Yep.
She's 7 miles away. Okay.
But these 3 other people are from the same house.
Correct.
Okay. So now when you have 3 people with similar symptoms, and these are very bad symptoms because they all died, correct?
They all died. Yep. Correct.
Yep.
But the only symptom is passing out?
They were all unconscious. Yep.
Yeah. That should raise a question of, is there something in the environment? And a something could be carbon monoxide, although it would be hard to tie all 4 of these together if they're not all in the same house. So that's an interesting thought, but it would be easy to draw a test and kind of look. You do a carboxyhemoglobin level. You can actually check the amount of carbon monoxide in the blood. So I would assume if you sent that off and it was negative, now you got to keep looking.
Correct. Yep. I don't know that they had that immediately available to them, but the ER doc that took care of these guys actually figured out the case relatively quickly, I think.
Okay. All right.
But okay, so yeah, so those are so Dr. Thomas Kim is the name of the doc that took care of the 3. So they came in on the 28th of September.
You going to take away my future guesses too?
No, I'm not.
I got guesses.
Yeah, go for it.
So yeah,
it's the 80s. Is it bad cocaine?
No,
it's
not bad. Checking. They only had good cocaine back then.
Oh, right. My bad.
Good point. Different time. So yeah, but I think you're on the right general track.
Oh wait,
like tox, right?
Wait. We're gonna zoom forward 2 days.
You keep lurching me around.
Wait,
Just
yeah,
wait,
because if
I'm
they're
gonna
not
get there.
related, then like it doesn't make sense. I think because I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
All right. Put a pin in tox. Fine.
All right.
Yeah, so on the 30th, are there 30 days in September?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was literally that day, like yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Come on, Mike.
Today's the
Keep it together.
So at a different hospital, a 31-year-old female is brought in at 3:15 a.m., dies 8 hours later.
Another
the
one.
same day, a 27-year-old new mother comes in, is pronounced dead at 9:03.
Yeesh. This is
Different
2 days in the future
hospitals,
from.
very close. 2 days in the future from this. The diagnosis had already been suspected.
You won't let me guess at it though. Every
No, I
time I
want
try
you
to
to
guess
guess.
at it, you lurch me to a new hospital situation.
No, I wanted to get all like the
Oh, I see.
All the patients out there.
Yeah, because I didn't
Okay.
want you to think like everybody's coming from the same area. I didn't want you to think they're all coming from the same
I understand.
house.
Okay. Got
So
it.
now
And
it's
6
multiple
total
different
we got
homes.
over
7
several
total.
days.
Seven
Seven
total,
total
okay.
over a few days.
Oh,
And-
because there's another one later.
Can you give me a general sense, like how rapid was this decline? So a couple of people had like 2 days of symptoms, at least the one I know. And then is that fairly similar across all these cases?
They're all relatively rapid.
Mm.
The symptoms may be a red herring, maybe.
Mhm. I get you. Well, I mean,
'Cause they were
they're
ill.
vague. Yeah. All right. I'm not hearing GI symptoms. I mean, maybe there were
Nope.
some, but I'm not really hearing that. I'm just hearing like got ill, gone.
Mhm.
Do they taste like bitter almonds?
Do the patients?
Yeah.
Nobody licked them.
Do I smell bitter almonds? What's happening? I don't know what bitter almonds smell like.
Yeah, what do
honestly.
they smell
Yeah.
like? Do they smell like garlic or
Mm.
what's the other one?
So when these 3 came in from the house, so Adam, Stanley, and Teresa, that's when investigators were like, something is up here. You know, like you get 1 death, people come to the house, now you have 2 more deaths.
I would hope that those investigators would think something odd has happened
Yes,
at that
so
house.
they
Thank you.
grab-
Why
they
they
grab-
fired.
You know what's I found a site that had the actual police, like handwritten police reports and stuff, and very thorough. And they said that they had gathered a handful of things from the residents. They had some medicines. You know, they did tox screens. Nobody had any alcohol. Nobody had any drugs in their system. Each of the homes, they had a bottle of Tylenol, and that's about it.
About
So
food?
Max, what about the almonds?
I want to know what bitter almonds smell like. That was the only reason I brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fishing. I'm fishing for a tax question, and the thing is, I'm trying to remember. So the way that my brain works is that I'll hear keywords, and then somewhere in the recesses of my brain, I will throw out an answer to myself, and then I, for a moment, will be confident that it's associated, and then I'm pretty sure the like frontal cortex then goes, "Are you sure about that?" So now I'm in the "Are you sure about that" stage.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking, I hear collapse. I hear there's like toxy kind of stuff there. There's really not a lot else to go off of. So I think cyanide. And I feel like cyanide gives you bitter almonds, doesn't it? Gives you like the scent of bitter almonds, which is a board question that we get. I don't have a clue what bitter almonds would smell like, nor, yeah, I have no clue. But
Yeah,
that makes me wonder
do they
about
smell
that.
dusty? Yeah.
I don't know.
So the the Cook County, this is in Chicago, the Cook
Ooh.
or northern suburbs, the Cook County medical examiner.
Don't call the northern suburbs Chicago.
Well, it's Cook
Whoa.
County.
Wait, how long have you been there? Why do you?
They-
you're-
I'm just saying.
I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
just kidding.
So is Chicago in Cook County?
Yes.
Yeah,
It is,
Chicago
okay.
is in Cook County. Yeah.
But in Arlington Heights is in Cook County.
No, that's the verbs.
Yeah.
I
Wait,
think it's in Cook
it's
County.
in Cook County, but it's not Chicago.
So
It's
the
not
Cook
Chicago.
County medical examiner
Great,
from
okay.
Chicago
Okay.
said nothing looked out of the ordinary. They're talking about these Tylenol bottles. Nothing
Mhm.
looked out of the ordinary. But as I was pouring the pills out of the bottle, I could tell that there was a strong smell of almonds.
But were they bitter? Because I mean, if it's just almonds, then I'm
I
moving
looked for
on, but
bitter, and they did not say bitter. He just said
I feel
almonds.
like
And
it's
this
bitter
guy,
almonds.
yeah, he's
Why I wouldn't
actually
make that up.
smelled it.
Like, why is that in my
Wait,
brain?
so-
Bitter almonds.
no, it's absolutely bitter almonds.
Okay, thank you.
But he just said almonds.
Alba has
And
questions.
wait, yeah. So was one of his medicine bottles? One of the person's medicine bottles smelled like?
You guys
Almonds?
haven't heard of this case?
I have, but I don't know all the details.
Are you judging me?
Yeah. I mean, this is like...
Albert was probably like negative 15 years old in
I
1982.
was -5.
It's huge. So you get to learn.
Thank you.
So, yeah, it's the Chicago Tylenol murders.
Oh, yeah. So I've heard of this case. I don't remember the details, but I've heard of this case.
Yeah, and this does relate to Halloween sadism. It was a full circle. I'm going to get there, but...
All right, you're weaving a tale.
Yep, bobbing and weaving. So we'll just briefly talk about cyanide poisoning, because Max, you're right, cyanide poisoning. The symptoms are often going to be headache, dizziness, shortness of breath, vomiting, seizures. You can get a slow heart rate. You can lose consciousness. You can have a cardiac arrest. And I started going into the basic science of it, and it just essentially asphyxiates your cells. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not explaining myself anymore. Your cells can't breathe.
Yeah, that's
fair.
And then when your cells die, you die.
Because they cellular respiration.
Yes,
I learned about with like
cellular
ATP or something, like whatever makes
you're
my
muscles
on
the right track.
Thanks. You know, guys, it's been a lot of YouTube.
that you're on the absolute right track. One of the toxicologists I trained with at some point had a saying about cyanide poisoning. It's just that one of the most unfortunate things is like one of the symptoms is death, in that this is so hard to catch, because a lot of times by the time you figure out what's going on, somebody's already gone, unfortunately.
Well, but often so Max, I don't know if you know what the most common exposure to cyanide is.
I don't know. The most common
way
exposure?
back.
Is it almonds?
No.
No.
Wait, hold on. Does it have to do with like pits of things? Fruit pits?
No.
I feel like, then I hear that like nectarines or peach pits have them.
No, it's fires.
No.
Fires?
Yeah.
Fire?
Yeah. So most people will get cyanide toxicity from breathing in smoke from house fires.
Oh, from like the plastics and all that sort of stuff.
So
like
if
all
this
the
is
substances.
so if it was a house fire and then people came in and dropped dead, it's like, was there some sort of thermal injury? Or so we actually have an antidote kit. I don't know. I think I might have given this once in residency, but you inhale a drug called amyl nitrite, and then you get IV sodium nitrite, and then you get IV sodium thiosulfate, and it ultimately you metabolize things into safer compounds. Again, I'm leaving it at that. I'm not explaining anymore.
Well, amyl nitrate is like smelling salts, right? I think it's exactly what's in smelling salts. But it does something changes the cyanide into a spot, and then you give the other stuff to basically let it be washed away from the bloodstream safely.
Correct.
Before it chokes out your cells.
But there's no way that this doc would have known. Like, the first call comes in. No. We get cardiac arrests all the time. Young person would be unusual. You do a bigger workup on that person, and then to get two from the same house, I'm sure this guy is scratching his head. One, trying to resuscitate the other two people, and also trying to figure that out. But so his patients came in like late afternoon on the 28th. On the 30th, he had already figured out that it was cyanide toxicity for these three. 2:45 a.m. on the 30th. Ultimate pathology reports came back on the 1st, confirming cyanide for all 4 of the original patients.
Yeah, and it's that's pretty scary, man.
So that's one you have to screen for specifically. So like a regular toxicology report wouldn't.
Correct. You would not get it.
Yeah, and I don't know that there is a bedside test for it. Yeah, I think it's only an ME autopsy kind of test.
Because it's so rare.
Well, it's just there's not like a rapid way to test for it.
Yeah, if you suspect it, you'd have to treat, but you wouldn't know really.
Yeah, the person would already have the effects, and you'd have to. Yeah, you empirically, meaning you go by what you see, and if you suspect it, you just treat for it. And on the treatment, the antidote for cyanide, to my recollection, I've never had to give it, but I don't think it's necessarily all that toxic. I think it's pretty safe to give. I think it might be pricey. It might not. I might be wrong, but it's so
it's not like got it. Okay,
yeah, so it's a low risk. If you're like, I think it might be this, and you give it, like, and you're wrong, you're not likely to cause harm.
There's a blood pressure med we used to give called nitroprusside that could potentially in high doses cause cyanide toxicity, which is really kind of weird. Anyway.
Yeah, I momentarily forgot about the house fires thing, but that's more of a modern thing, right? Because a lot of the modern,
I don't know.
I think it's more, I feel like it's more of a modern thing because we use a lot of plastics in our stuff, and when they burn, they release more cyanide. Like, don't get me wrong, like being in a
I mean,
house
there's a lot
fire
more
is a bad
plastics in
place to
us
be.
too. I wonder if we would give
Oh
off.
yeah.
Well, maybe that's true. We're finding that out. But of course, the other problem you think about with a house fire and you can forget is that carbon monoxide. You get
Right.
exposed to that as well with all the combustion. So, and those two pathways, like bad carbon monoxide and cyanide, they both end at the same bad place. They both end in death, and so
Mhm.
they're both kind of
Cellular
choking off your cells
asphyxiation.
in different
Mhm.
ways. Though the carbon monoxide is not letting your cells have oxygen. The cyanide is basically going into the cells and unhooking their energy generating systems for to breeze over it. So yeah, and
I say it all the time, but how do y'all remember all this?
we
That's so
We
much.
confabulate a lot until the deep recesses are like, here's the information you were looking for, sir.
these are things that
Wow.
we get tested on a lot and are rarely likely to see, because part of the, like, a good emergency physician is always thinking of these wild situations, because if you do think of it, you're likely to make a big save, but you're not likely to see it. It definitely happens though, and this is like
Mhm.
this is especially in emergency medicine. This is boards questions. You are almost guaranteed to get one on cyanide poisoning.
Yep.
Mm.
So Alba, have you ever had like a over-the-counter medicine that you took and you're like struggling to get the stupid top off, and then
Every
and
day
then
of
the
my
next
life.
layer, then there's this like tinfoil, and then the next layer there's this other stuff that's packed in
The
there, and
cotton-
just
Oh
like
yeah.
Chicago Tylenol murders. The whole reason
That's
those
the
bottles
whole
is
reason?
because of this. Yeah. So before
Thank
you
you.
didn't, you didn't have tamper
I mean,
resistant.
not thank you to the Chicago Tylenol murderer. That's
Well,
not a
good
thank you,
save.
but it's
Not to
good.
the
But
murderer,
thank you
but
to the
to-
people who put the seals in this and the
Well,
cotton balls in there.
So it's interesting. Apparently, so Johnson and Johnson makes Tylenol, and it's a big drug company. A lot of times they're like the bad guys and whatever, but
Mhm.
they were praised based on their response. So within, I think it was 2 days, they recalled 31 million bottles of Tylenol. So it cost them $100 million to pull
man,
all
that's
the
a lot.
Tylenol off the shelves.
Holy.
They pulled all of their commercials off the air. And then within 6 weeks, they created their own tamper resistant packaging. And then ultimately there was a federal law that said that all medicine has to have a tamper resistant top.
The government
then it
moved that fast back then?
No, that wasn't 6 weeks. No, Johnson & Johnson was 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
This was a
Oh.
year later, I think.
Oh, the year.
That sounds more like the
I was-
government.
There we go. Still
We'll
pretty
get to
fast,
it.
honestly.
Just don't take any pills until then, all right? So the story gets really, really, really messed up. Really
no.
messed up.
It's not messed up right now?
Because it's pretty messed up already, Mike.
This is almost like the Mike Malloy thing messed up.
No.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yes. Anyway, okay, so Johnson & Johnson, they did a good thing. I think there was only one additional death associated with this batch of Tylenol. So I think it's either 7 or 8 total. And okay, yeah, so they were looking, they didn't have anybody. In October of 82, I think it was Johnson & Johnson got an extortion letter from somebody who wrote this letter requesting $1 million in order to stop the killing.
Okay.
They were suggesting that they're the person that tampered with the pills, put the cyanide in the meds. Oh, the other thing that Johnson & Johnson did was that they don't make capsules anymore. They make capulets. So they make solid pills because you can't put stuff in them.
Yeah.
Oh.
For Tylenol.
Well, you gonna tell us how they actually did this? Like how they made the tablets?
We'll find out.
Okay. I want to know.
Okay.
So this guy that wrote the letter, it's almost like he wanted to get caught. Didn't wear gloves, so they have his fingerprints, and this guy's a criminal. So they identify him almost immediately. They catch him 2 months later. And, he's like, oh, no. I was just trying to extort the company for $1 million. Like, I didn't actually do it.
I was just fooling about that.
I was just fooling.
Yeah. So he, the whole community's pissed off at this guy because they're like, God, we thought we caught the guy, and now you're trying to like cash in on this tragedy. It did not go over well in the public eye.
Is this guy is that like third character you meet in a Law and Order episode? Like you meet the one person that's like, that looks like the killer just because they sell it that way. And then the other person, and there's like this background family member that is always the person who did it. And they're just like, they walk onto the scene. He's that guy.
No, he's the guy that you think is the guy.
Oh,
that everyone thinks that the guy, and is probably not the guy.
He's the guy that like, it's too easy.
He's the guy that I would guess was the guy.
Yes,
if
everybody
we were
would guess.
The movie. Everybody would guess.
And yeah, for 40 years, everybody has believed that. So
For 40 years?
Yeah, because this was 82.
Yep.
Wait, I said 40 years, but I'm bad at math while I'm thinking about other things.
Wait, but
how many
they
years?
found out that he wasn't the guy.
Well,
you don't know that yet. He hasn't
because it's
said.
hard to prove a negative.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
he wrote this thing. He wants $1 million. The bank account that he wanted the money wired to was his wife's ex-employer, and he said, like, I just wanted to get him in trouble and embarrass him because he let my wife go, and that made me upset. So there's a little bit of a built-in but really dumb alibi. But they bring him in for questioning. He ends up being charged with extortion, and they sentence him to 13 years in prison for writing this letter.
I mean, even if he didn't do the murders, yeah, I think that's.
Oh, just wait.
He
did murders. He did murders.
You said said he was the guy who was supposed to.
You said he wasn't. Is he the guy or is he not the?
In 1978, this guy, his name was James Lewis. He was charged with the murder and dismemberment of his accountant. They found his accountant like cut into pieces, hanging from a hook in his attic, and he got off.
Like
do you know why he got off?
What? He got off?
Never was even charged with a crime. Do you know how? They didn't read his Miranda rights. They found him in his house, this dead guy who was cut to bits. Anyway, he gets.
Wait, how do you prove a negative? How did they prove in that time period that they didn't read the Miranda rights?
This guy must have had just a stellar attorney.
I guess so.
So yeah, wow. So the 82, he ends up sentenced to 13 years in prison for this thing, and I'm sure everyone's like, "Well, this guy's got what's coming to him," and and he makes it sound like he's like, "Oh, I didn't do it, but if I would have done it, I would have, done this or that." And while he was in prison, he made drawings of how he would fill Tylenol capsules with.
I thought you were saying he was being coy about like, no, my accountant just fell on the meat hook in my attic. Like,
no, I don't know that he said anything, and they're just like, yeah, you can't be charged. So he's released from prison. I think he moves to Massachusetts. Gets arrested in 2004, charged with rape and kidnapping. Jailed for 3 years. And
for 3 years? That's it?
Just wait. The victim ultimately didn't want to testify, so the charges were dropped and he was released from prison. So
I don't think the listener could hear your jaw hit the floor.
No. So then in 2009, he self-published a book called Poison, The Doctor's Dilemma. This is like the
Where is this man?
This is like the OJ, like, if I were to have done it, then I would have done it this way.
Right.
He did the exact same thing, which to me
it's like awful trolling.
Right. He did give a DNA sample. His DNA sample did not match DNA that they found on these bottles. But DNA technology was pretty early on then.
Sure.
What else do we have about him? It's really hard to find information on him because he died last year. So died July 9th of 2023.
Okay. I think even if he didn't do this, I'm okay with that then.
Yeah, died of a PE.
A pulmonary embolus?
Yeah.
Yep.
He had a blood clot in his lung?
I would have thought for sure he would have killed himself with cyanide and been like, this is the proof.
Just
Here's
to
my
round out
song.
that loop? Yeah, that would have been oof.
So everybody involved with this, they believe that he's the killer, and they're like, we just wish he would have been able to die in jail. Kind of. But as I'm listening to this, the guy that I think is up there too.
You got your own theory on this case?
Well, no, this is just from all the research. They had three main guys. One guy they ruled out pretty quickly. They had John Lewis that they were fairly convinced that he was the guy. And then there's a guy named Roger Arnold. So Roger Arnold, a lot of this happened around Jewel Osco. And there was one other mom and pop grocery store where all these bottles came from. Roger worked at the Jewel Osco warehouse. He frequented the other grocery store that was right across the street from the psychiatric hospital that his wife was a patient in. And he was seen there multiple times going in. So this guy had access. Now the kicker with this guy is that he was talking to some guys at a bar, and the bar owner was uncomfortable because he had made some statements like they just purchased a large quantity of cyanide and all this other thing. I would be uncomfortable. So the bar owner calls the police. The police bring this guy in for questioning, and they search his house. So on October 11th in 82, they search his house. They found 5 guns. There's a handgun, a rifle, some ammunition. They found books on explosives and poisons. including a copy of the thing called The Poor Man's James Bond, which is apparently a manual on how to make potassium cyanide. They found vials, beakers, test tubes, and a white granulated powder. And he's not charged. He's not charged with anything.
Did they test the powder? Tell me they tested
it
the
wasn't
powder.
cyanide.
What?
But then, so 7 months later, this guy, Arnold, gets charged with murder. He goes to the bar where the owner had turned him in, goes there and shoots a guy in retaliation, but he shoots the wrong guy. He just shoots a random guy, not the owner. Yeah. So he's sentenced to 30 years in prison, died 15 years into a sentence, gets buried. They exhumed his body in 2008 and got samples from his femur to test his DNA, and he didn't match the DNA on the bottles. I don't know that said, this guy seems like he's the guy.
Maybe this guy wore the gloves. I don't know.
Like
so there was DNA on the bottles.
Yeah.
I assume that they took the DNA from the victims and like could exclude that. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly.
And who knows? I mean, how many people put those bottles on the shelves, handled them, etc.
Yeah, and how is there even DNA? Like, it doesn't have to be like blood or spit or sweat or
unless the DNA on the bottles all matches, like all 7 bottles or whatever.
There's a chance that was the case. Yeah, and that's because you'd think that they would have run through that. You know, it sounds like it was a really well-run investigation.
Wait, am I an investigator now? Do you think I could be?
Yeah,
I've seen a lot
you're a
of
detective in my book.
Okay, just the mustache.
Yeah.
Okay, so this leads us to the topic of.
It's all a prelude.
So there's at least 2 murderers, maybe a third that actually did the Tylenol killing, but both of those men were murderers. Because one hung somebody on a meat hook, and then the other one.
Now I'm already. Did I remember that right? The meat hook thing, or did I make that up in my head?
You did, yeah. So James Lewis absolutely is a murderer.
Okay.
Whether or not he is the Chicago Tylenol murderer is still in question. So denied it all the way up until his death, but writes a book about how he would have done it.
Sure.
Drew drawings.
Right, so we know he's capable.
Yeah. Oh, the Unabomber was a suspect too.
Sure, throw him
he
in
was
there.
ruled out because he wasn't in Chicago then.
Wow. All right.
But yeah, so really interesting. I don't know that I knew a whole ton about it, but you know, like the silver lining is that now we have safer meds because of this situation.
It is actually a silver lining of the bottle too.
Yeah, truly.
It's a foily thing.
So, but what happened in 1982 is that Halloween sucked. Halloween sucked across the country because everyone was afraid that your kids were going to get poisoned.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like we got the tainted Tylenol.
Wait, in 2002?
No, sorry, 82.
Oh, in 82. Okay.
Yeah. A couple communities across the country, or I don't know how many, but a lot of them canceled Halloween. And there were things that are saying like, you know, if you do go, just don't take any candy and whatever. So then I was thinking about when I was a kid, I know we had to trick or treat during the day. We couldn't go out at night. I know they've changed that, but there was a period of time there, and I think it was right around the 82 Tylenol murders where it was like, you can't be out at night anymore.
Yeah.
It's unsafe. Yeah. There's always stories about like a razor blade and an apple.
I've heard those stories. Yep.
Pin and all of that stuff. So
pin in the apples or pin in the topic of the apples with razor blades?
Both.
Okay.
Poison, you know, kids getting drugs.
I mean, so that would have happened anyway in the 80s.
Yeah.
They were seeking them out.
The thing is, I don't know that it ever did happen. It may have never happened. Okay. None of these things may have ever happened.
You're a Halloween sadist skeptic?
Yeah. So we're actually making Halloween fun again.
All right, let's do it. I'm on board. Favorite holiday. Here we go.
24% of parents are concerned about their kids receiving tainted treats, but I think we could all safely say that this is absolutely an urban legend.
Urgent legend?
I like that 24% implies that there were the other 76%. 76% that were like, I don't care if they do.
Well, but here's the thing. So
beat with 8.
I'm going to give you 5 main like headlines. Okay. And then what the press does is they go with that original story, and then the follow-up, they don't run.
Sure.
So headline, Kevin, Detroit, 1970. 5-year-old Kevin died after eating heroin supposedly hidden in his Halloween candy. Terrifying, right? And this sadism goes back to the 50s, maybe even to the 30s. Okay, so then they did their investigation, and they don't report that, there was a underreported follow-up story that Kevin had found the heroin in a relative's home.
That seems important to this story.
Wasn't given the heroin on Halloween.
Well, it's a good thing that problem doesn't happen anymore where newspapers fail to correct previous information.
Right. So Timothy O'Brien, this one I'm giving the full name. Sad story. Pasadena, Texas, 1974. 8-year-old Timothy died after eating a cyanide-laced Halloween candy. It's a pixie stick full of cyanide.
Yikes.
So everybody's terrified. You can't go out and trick-or-treat anymore. This kid got a pixie stick. Who do you think, or what do you think happened there?
The call is coming from inside the house?
Call is coming from inside the house. So his dad had taken out a life insurance policy on him because he was in financial troubles. He gave cyanide-laced pixie sticks to all of his children. Timothy is the only one that ate it. He died. The dad was tried, convicted, and executed within 2 years. Just like different.
Justice moved very differently in Texas in that time.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Patrick, 1978, 2-year-old, died after eating Halloween treats. And they just said his death was natural causes. Never had a positive tox report. Didn't report that other part.
Right. So the headline runs and then they don't go back. Okay. Yeah. Obviously very, certainly tragic, but not because of poisoned candy.
And these 5 cases are really like the index cases that reimagines the dangers of Halloween.
Sure.
So like Ariel, 7-year-old, collapsed while trick-or-treating. The press blamed Halloween sadism, and she had a congenital heart disease.
Yeah.
But again, they don't run that story like, oh, never mind, you can eat the candy. Like Halloween's already.
You're not going to sell papers doing that. So yeah, unfortunately I do.
So then a 4-year-old girl died after eating Halloween candy. Police in British Columbia advised parents to throw out all the Halloween treats. And turns out she died of strep.
Oh, okay.
So anyway.
So we've been panicking about Halloween for a long time.
We have. Yeah, and there's been medical studies done as well on Halloween sadism. There's a doc that I'll try to get you his name. They've done a bunch of case reports and whatever, and the risk of Halloween sadism is rare and exaggerated. This is from a study back in 2000. There's only in the medical journal 2 reports of foreign bodies having been ingested on Halloween. Mm-hmm. And one was a guy that swallowed a pin a week before Halloween and came in on Halloween. And the other one had ingested a needle that was in a caramel apple. It was probably, who knows, maybe just an inadvertent thing.
Sure. Like that's, so incredibly rare phenomenon, lots of heightened anxiety in the press. And I noticed like a lot of these stories, you mentioned a couple in the 70s, a few in the 80s as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is also the height of, and I don't mean to step on your subject if you're going to mention this, but this is the height of the satanic panic as well, right?
I am not going to mention that.
I'll do it. So yeah, I mean, this was a time period where there was a lot of belief that like there were these satanic cults everywhere and they were going to do these things. And I don't necessarily know directly if they were blamed for some of these things, but there was a lot of heightened fear about things that were Halloweeny or these sort of quote dark spiritual arts that was overall not substantiated by anything in reality. Mm. This is just a time of a lot of fear of these sort of things, and it got perpetuated.
Yeah, I kind of remember that. Wasn't there a movie where it was like one of the police academies where there was like a pagan cult that they had to infiltrate?
Oh, you're you're thinking Dragnet. Dragnet. That's how they. Yeah, no, it's exactly. Yeah. It's totally a theme from the Dragnet remake with Dan Aykroyd in the 80s.
Oh, okay, yeah, because like Aykroyd was in it.
Yeah, I love that movie. It's a great movie.
Who was it? Turner and Hooch.
I love Turner and Hooch. I haven't thought about that movie.
I don't watch movies where there's a dog co-star because there's always something sad happens, and nope, I nope out of that.
But yeah, I guess the person who's the expert on Halloween sadism is a man by the name of Joel Best. He's got a website. Yeah, and he's essentially just trying to debunk. He works. His work is updated at the University of Delaware's library. But he essentially said it's not a risk, but it is more dangerous for pedestrians. So you're 4 times more likely to get hit by a car on Halloween than you are any other day. But Halloween's also, I think, the 4th or the 5th most dangerous Halloween or holiday after Labor Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July. Then I think it's Halloween and then Easter.
You said Labor Day was number 1?
No, it's up there. I don't know. No, I think 4th of July is number 1.
What are people doing on Labor Day?
Maybe it's Memorial Day.
Mm.
Nice.
Memorial
I'd
Day is
mention both of
dangerous.
them.
It's just anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's like boats and
Okay, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Fair.
water sports, outdoor stuff. But yeah, that's what I got in Halloween sadism. You're unlikely to get injured from eating Halloween candy. You're more likely to feel sick from eating too much sugar, but your brain's going to be happy.
Ooh, nice way to bring
Yeah.
it around. You will be thinking
Mm.
and making decisions, and you will
Mhm.
not get fatigued. Excellent. That's so you're saying I can go ahead and just eat all that candy corn that I have been saving.
Candy
and
corn is
hoarding?
disgusting, so no.
Yeah,
Wrong again.
what are you doing, Max?
I like all the candies everybody hates, and it's wonderful because I have more of them.
Did you evolve into that, do you think? Or do you think this is like just your taste buds?
I mean, my refined palate is how I arrived here.
Yeah.
But I can't. I mean, it's not something I actively worked on. I just I like all the candies that nobody else likes, and there's usually no competition for them. So I don't know. That's
With
my
candy
superpower.
corn, I'll eat like one of the colors and I'll attempt to cleave it perfectly so you have that same
Every time.
color.
Every time.
But I'll throw the rest of it away. I will never
Gross.
eat the 2/3. I'll eat 1/3 of a candy corn.
If you put a bowl of that near me, I will consume the entire thing within a fortnight.
Oh,
What's
How
that,
long is
2
a
weeks?
fortnight? Yeah, I think
2
it's 2
weeks,
weeks.
yeah.
Actually, it'll be less than that.
what about Werther's Originals?
I can get
Now
down.
I
with some
could
Werther's.
get down
Yeah.
on some
Really?
Werther's Originals.
Smarties?
Smarties, okay,
Mhm,
fine.
yep.
They're fine.
Tootsie Rolls?
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing special, but great.
Yeah.
Good and Plenties. Good and Plenties are so good.
No.
Yeah, those are great.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, but we have common ground.
We have that common ground.
Mike and
Mhm.
Ike's?
Yeah, fine.
Yes.
They're
Mhm.
fine.
No.
Same
No?
thing, right? Good and Plenty's, Mike and Ike, same thing.
I
No,
think
no,
so,
Mike and Ike's
yeah.
are fruity.
I absolutely though so we have a big trick or treating thing in our neighborhood, and I love give out candy every
You don't
year.
buy
Great.
candy corn for those poor kids, do you?
No, I save it for myself. I was just about to
Okay.
say I hoard all the candy I want, so like I just steal a bunch of the almond joys out of the thing and like keep them aside.
Max, come on.
And all the crackles.
I'm not a perfect person.
Like 1,000 grands.
All right. Well, now I'm getting hungry, so I think that's a reasonable place to leave it.
hmm
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Nicely done. Well, since that about does it, Alba, you know what I'm going to ask you.
Oh
You
my
know what I'm
God,
gonna ask
I
you?
didn't
I'm
even
gonna-
think of it.
I'm gonna ask if you managed to pick and procure an artifact from this episode to add to the PH Pod Annals of Medical History.
Everything that's coming to mind right now is really gross.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the bitter almonds that are bitter because they didn't get picked to be in the almond joy.
It's so sad.
Mhm.
Almond Joy is delicious. We all agree.
No.
We appreciate
don't.
everyone listening, and we'd love to hear from all of you out there. If you'd like to get a Poor Historians t-shirt or provide feedback, we can be reached through our website, www.poorhistorianspod.com. There you can send us some messages, find links to our social media sites. We do work to respond to all posts on those accounts, by the way. We do want to thank our PH Pod patrons for helping make the show possible. A free way to support us is to just tell a friend about us or go and leave us a nice 5-star review on Spotify, iTunes, or whichever platform you choose. So before we go, we might as well read one of those. I think that's the new thing we're doing. So if you leave us one of those reviews, Alba here will read it. What do you got, Alba?
The title of this one is TLDR History, Medicine, Hilarity. 5 stars. 3 EM docs decided to make a medical history podcast, and it's turned out fabulously. Interesting topics? Check. Non sequiturs? Check. Smatterings of utter nonsense? Triple checkity
My
check.
favorite.
And they wrote and sang their own theme song. Poor Historians really is superb. 5 out of 5.
I mean, writing. It's mostly Mike, but Mike does refer to himself in the royal we. So it is, I think he can
Especially
work as a
when you have
plural.
to take a wee.
Yep, that's how he wrote it. It's inspiration time. Well, thank you very
That's
much for
great.
that review. And until next time, the Poor Historians are signing out AMA. I want to find the norepinephrine to keep me awake and aroused during this episode
Ooh.
in a non-creepy way.
Oh.
We'll do room notice, though.
Mike, why are you disappointed?
Oh, it's delicious.
It's just kind of gross, and it's like this fairly biggish candy bar for one almond.
It has like synthetic coconut.
Yeah, it's the
Candy.
coconut. I can't.
It's the best part.
And I like coconut milk. But
You're all wrong.
Mm.
Welcome segment.
Wait, the coconut milk is water, right? Or is that the milk?
I don't
No,
know.
There's no water in milk. You can